campaign in the 2016 election year. We now know it was this man, Joseph Mifsud, who fed George Papadopoulos information about Russians having Hillary Clinton's emails. That claim, Papadopoulos repeated, was the predicate, apparently, for the FBI launching a counterintelligence probe into Donald Trump's campaign. Mifsud is cited throughout the Mueller report and has long been suspected of having deep ties to Russian intelligence, according to Robert Mueller. Last Friday, the ranking member of the House Intel Committee, Devin Nunes, sent this letter to the heads of the FBI, CIA, and the State Department, demanding documents on Mifsud and his links to Moscow. He is raising questions about that. Congressman Nunes joins me right now in an exclusive interview from the World Ag Expo in Tulare, California, and it is good to see you, Congressman. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Great to be with you again.
You know, the reason that we wanted to look at the opportunity for a predicate, was there probable cause, is because this is really getting to the point of what William Barr is looking at, what you have been looking at, what Lindsey Graham is looking at. Why did the FBI open an investigation into the Trump campaign and spy on some of its members? So before we get to your breaking news with this letter, what was your reaction to George Papadopoulos?
Well, I've seen him interviewed several times, and every time that he speaks, we get more and more information. And I think he is exactly right. One of the things that I'm asking for is all the underlying information. So if the FBI does, in fact, have transcripts of Papadopoulos talking to anyone, whether it's Mifsud or Downer or whoever, I think Congress and the American people have a right to know this because, in fact, we paid for it. And we had to deal with this for 2.5 years. We had to suffer through this. And one of my frustrations on this, Maria, is that, you know, we said when the Mueller report came out that I now call the Mueller dossier, named after the Steele dossier that the Democrats had paid for, I said that we were going to comb through this with a fine-tooth comb. One of the things that we're finding is that they used dozens of news stories. Now, remember, these are the same guys that were leaking classified information. So you had FBI leakers. They would leak to the news. They do a fake news story. Then that news story would then get, now we see what was picked up in many cases and used by the Mueller dossier team.
Right.
I mean, we paid $30 million for this.
Yes.
So why is this related to
do you find it odd?
Well, the reason it's related to Mifsud.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, the reason it's related to Mifsud, okay, which is Mifsud really originates this investigation because he's the first one that we know of that goes to someone within the Trump campaign and says, hey, I think I know where the Clinton emails are. So this is important because in the Mueller dossier, they use a fake news story to describe Mifsud.
Okay, hold on.
In one of those
right
stories,
they cherry pick it. Deeper into your letter, but I want to just say, Mifsud is the guy who told Papadopoulos Russia has Hillary Clinton's emails. Mifsud is the guy that the London Center wanted Papadopoulos to meet. So it was this London Center of Law that actually told Papadopoulos, you have to meet Mifsud. Mifsud then drops this bomb on him and says, Russia has Hillary Clinton's emails. Do you find it odd that all of these international intel guys are reaching out to Papadopoulos? Why reach out? Who's Papadopoulos? He's working for Ben Carson. Then he's working for Trump. So how come somebody from Britain, Australia, Italy, they're all reaching out to him? And by the way, how come this London Center of International Law reached out to Papadopoulos on LinkedIn to go work there after Ben Carson withdrew?
And I think a better question is that, so Papadopoulos claims that he was quitting this London center. So how many companies or agencies that you know of that when you say, hey, I'm quitting, and they say, hey, what about a free 4 to 5 day vacation in Rome? We're going to fly you there. We're going to put you up for free.
Because we want you to meet this guy Mifsud.
And all you have to do is meet this guy Mifsud.
We want to continue this conversation and go deep into your letter. Stay with us. We're looking ahead to the heads of the FBI, the DOJ, as well as the NSA and the CIA. Why did you write this letter?
Well, we're trying to get to the bottom of Mifsud. So as we talked about in the last segment, this guy originates the investigation. We know that the Mueller team wrote this Mueller dossier. They used a lot of these news stories that, in fact, sometimes were generated by leaks from the FBI. Now, I don't think the American people expect 20 DOJ lawyers and 40 FBI agents to write a 450-page report that's built off of news stories that in many cases they generated. Why I particularly have a problem with this is with one of the stories is because they pick a news story and then they cherry pick from it. So they use it partly to describe where Mifsud worked, but then they fail to say in that same story that they have given support to by using it in the Mueller dossier, they cherry pick it and they don't use that Mifsud was described as a Western intelligence asset. Now, Maria, anybody who's out there, all they have to do is get on the World Wide Web. And if you type in Joseph Mifsud, Link Campus, which is where he worked, you will find, you don't even have to be able to read, okay? You'll find pictures of him with many foreign dignitaries, foreign leaders. You'll see that the Link Campus had the FBI was on the Link Campus doing training nearly all the time, nearly every year. So how is it that we spend $30+ million on this as taxpayers?
Yeah.
And they can't even tell us who Joseph Mifsud is. So that's, we're getting to the bottom of this. So we believe he has ties to the State Department. The State Department, actually, our State Department, had him in the United States Capitol in 2017. Joseph Mifsud. This is, and remember, why is Mifsud so important? Because Mueller, the Mueller dossier team, they essentially make this guy out to be a Russian asset under the control of Putin, said that says he has ties to these Russians. You know, sound familiar? So, you know, this is the origination of this investigation, and it seems like Mifsud has an awful lot of ties to U.S., British, and Italian intelligence services.
Do you believe that the FBI had all of these sources out to entrap people from the Trump campaign so that they could claim that there was a conspiracy, that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians? But in fact, they put all of these sources all across the world to get to members of the Trump campaign, like they reached out to Papadopoulos.
Well, remember what I said on your show last year?
Yep.
I think I actually said, I think I said it first on your show, as I recall. I said, I'm not worried about whether or not they were spying on the Trump campaign. That is fact. What I want to know is how many spies with an S were involved in this. And I mean, and this is why we have to get to the bottom of this. Is why all this information needs to come out.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Finish your thought, Congressman.
Well, on Mifsud. So in the letter, we also point out there's a lot of talk about how Papadopoulos, who was just on earlier, he caused the FBI and the Mueller team problems because he didn't tell them about the relationship with Mifsud and how Mifsud had offered emails. Now, this is in 2017. Okay, this is in the Mueller dossier. So this is all about in 2017 how Papadopoulos harms their investigation.
Yeah.
Right? Well, how is it then that the FBI, or supposedly the FBI, or other assets know to continually ask Papadopoulos about emails, about Clinton emails in 2016?
Right. Nobody knew it except
none of
Mifsud
that,
and Papadopoulos. So how did the FBI know if
That's right.
Mifsud wasn't an asset of the FBI? Let me ask you this. All of this spying going on early in 16, watching Papadopoulos, knowing that he was reaching out to Lewandowski, this London center reaching out to him to go work there, there wasn't a warrant. The FISA warrant to spy on an American citizen, like they did with Carter Page, didn't happen until October later that year. So was this illicit spying?
Well, it's beyond me. I never knew that you could use counterintelligence capabilities. These are the capabilities that we have in our government to go after and target terrorists. I never knew that you could actually go out and use those capabilities to spy on Americans. And look, we don't know all this yet for sure, but I think we have strong suspicions that is exactly what was happening. And you really only have to look at the text messages from Strzok and Page, who were the FBI agents who were the lead that ultimately served on the Mueller dossier team. They were texting about this stuff.
They wanted an insurance policy.
That's right.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning.
That's right.